All right. Okay. The meeting for the Board of Ethics County of Hawaii, May 13th, 2015 is hereby called to order. Aloha kakahiaka, my name is Ku Kahakalau. And before we get started, I'd like to make sure that everybody please turn off their cell phones or put them on vibrate so that we don't have any disruptions. We're going to get started with statements from the public on agenda items. And since we also have our Kohala constituents here, we're going to go back and forth with taking testimonies from here, Hilo, and then Kohala. We'll start with Hilo. Floyd Eglin.
Yes.
Could you please come up, sir? I would like to remind everybody that we'd like to, if at all possible, keep our testimonies to 3 minutes per item on the agenda.
Good morning, my name is Floyd Eglin.
Aloha.
Oh, push the button.
Okay. I'm here to support Mayor Billy Kenoi. I feel that the due process haven't been given him. He said that he did wrong. He said that he paid back. What more are we going to do? I mean, I feel that the First Amendment of the Constitution of America is not to libel people, slander people. His family should have never been brought into this. Whatever he did as a kid shouldn't be brought into this. It's what he's doing now. He did well for this county. He brought us through the worst times. And I have mixed feelings about all of this. I didn't grow up over here. I'm a transplant. I left Vietnam, and this was the place for me to come. And I came here. And I can say I know him from the time he was a kid. It's not that we're friends. We know, but he did it himself. He could have always gone the wrong road. He chose the road. Everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. He said, sorry. He paid back. What more you want to do? I feel this is wrong. I feel that everyone has a chance to redeem themselves. And all of us got skeletons in our closet. I got a graveyard in mine. So I'm not going to point fingers. We should point fingers inward, not outward. So I'm here him. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Corey Harden. Is Corey Harden? Oh, could you please step up?
Good morning, Chair Kuka Hakalau and board members. Thank you for your service on the board. I'm sorry to say, I think Mayor Kenoi should resign. The pCard scandal is now featured in the New York Times. And on top of that, Kenoi may have failed to do gift disclosures. There's much about the pCard that's deeply disturbing. Kenoi kept using the pCard for over $31,000 in personal expenses, despite repeated warnings and despite having the legal background to understand he was out of line. Some pCard expenses, $7,500 incurred over 6 years, were only reimbursed by Kenoi after the pCard story broke. There are no receipts for Kenoi's pCard spending, though the county requires documentation for all purchases. The county refused to release Kenoi's pCard records for 5 years till a reporter obtained some records from another source. Now, pCard records are public records under state law. The state auditor's office sharply criticized the pCard program 5 years ago, but it's unclear if any changes were made. Some county emails say for 90 days, hampering review of past actions. While Kenoi is dealing with ethics and criminal investigations that will drag on for months, his office is hamstrung. For example, County Council member Margaret Willey commented that Kenoi missed a lot of things after the pCard story broke. Kenoi considered missing the usual presentation of his budget request to County Council, apparently reluctant to face questions about the pCard. Kenoi withdrew his nomination of former Finance Director Nancy Crawford to the Pension Board at her request after the pCard story broke, 3 weeks after Kenoi had said it was crucial to approve her. Ms. Crawford might have been questioned about the pCard when going before County Council for approval. I commend Margaret Willey for expressing concern about the scandal and urging an open session for County Council consideration of having the Deputy Corporation Counsel from Maui advise this board. I also commend County Council member Gregor Iligon for telling Kenoi Iligon planned to implement recommendations from a pCard audit now being done. If the Ethics Board does not act for some reason, I hope County Council will use its power to act on ethics cases. For the future, we may need another way to address cases involving the mayor or county council members, since they're the ones who choose ethics board members. As for Mayor Kenoi, I hope he will best serve his future and the future of our island by having the courage to resign. Thank you.
Do we have any statements from Kohala? Can you please identify yourself?
Yes, Chair. I have 5 testifiers and some observers. Do you want me to read the names of the first 2 testifiers, or may they introduce themselves?
The first 2 testifiers, they can introduce themselves, and then we'll switch back to Hilo, please.
Okay, please restate your name.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alex Ahmad, and I live here in Hawi in North Kohala, and a voter in District 9. And I wanted to start out my comments by saying thank you. And I'm not sure if the person I'm saying thank you to is in the room, but the person I want to say thank you to is the whistleblower. The person who said, this is too much, this is enough, and leaked the information that allowed us, the people, usually uninformed, to find out what's going on. There's a maxim that says that money corrupts, and a lot of money corrupts a lot. And it seems that that's the kind of situation we're in, not only nationally, but here at our county level. There are 2 sets of rules. One is for people with power and money, and one are for regular people. And we've seen this practice over and over again. 10 years ago, we had a scandal on the island. It was called Hookers, Hot Tubs, and Hawaii. And it was about David Cunningham, who was a representative in the House of Representatives, who spent $6,000 a night at the Hapuna Prince Hotel being wooed during a $50,000 junket by companies, accompanied by people in the CIA, Dusty Fogo, who's number 3, and he ended up going to jail for taking bribes and for playing fast and loose with donations and gifts. And just in our backyard 10 years ago. And then somebody blew the whistle. And we need that. We need people to say enough. And then we had the Jack Abramoff case. And there again, we had a whistleblower. It wasn't that the courts or somebody delved into him and found him guilty. It was somebody who knew some scandal and leaked it that got him arrested and put in jail and all the corruption exposed. So we need the whistleblowers. We need people to have the courage to come out from behind a kind of roughshod administration who demands people to cooperate, who's looking for pliable members on their councils to speak out. In the last election, we had big money interests coming into our county, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. In Maui, it was the same thing. over $500,000. These people are not voters. They don't live here, but they finance politicians.
Please summarize.
So again, in my summary, I'd like to say that we want to say thank you to the whistleblowers. We want to encourage more people to come forward when they see injustice or corruption so that we can have a clean council, a clean mayor, and a clean government. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please restate.
Madam Chair, if I may. If I may. Just to... Oh, hold on 1 second, please. Yeah. I just want to remind the public that they have 3 minutes to testify on each agenda item. So if they're testifying on more than one item, to let us know so staff can set the time appropriately.
I'm only testifying on one item.
Thank you.
Aloha, aloha, Madam Chair and members. My name is Lanrick Highland, and I would like to briefly comment on petition 2015-01, which involves Mr. Revel's objection to County Council Drew Kanuha's not treating him courteously because he did not make time to hear Mr. Revel's point of view on pending or potential legislation. Our ethics code calls upon county officers and employees to adhere to the, quote, highest standards. That is a very high bar. Access to an elected official is one important reason why people make large campaign contributions to candidates. If I may paraphrase, if I make a large contribution, I will expect a large amount of candidates' time to listen to what I have to say. That is a high standard for an elected official to meet. But if I make no contribution to that elected official's campaign, and I still expect him to meet and take time to listen to my views and opinions, that would be the highest standard of ethical conduct. That elected official is one who truly understands what it means to say, I work for the people. When you issue your final draft of your informal advisory opinion on petition 2015-01, I hope that is the standard to which you hold Chair Kanuha and all other county officers and employees. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to call up Andrea Rosanoff, and then followed by, I think it's
Margaret Willie.
Why?
It's Councilmember Willie.
Oh, it's Councilmember Willie. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Couldn't read that.
Hello, my name is Andrea Rosanoff. I live in Pahoa, Hawaii. Thank you for allowing us to meet with you and to give some of our views of what all this is going on. What I'd like to do, I only have, I believe, one issue. I would like to read to you a letter that I sent to the Hawaii Tribune Herald. I sent this on Friday, April 24th, but it hasn't been printed, so this gives me a chance to at least put it in the public record, some of my feelings. The lava has slowed. Sorry, I'll begin. The lava has slowed. Potentially drastic, imminent change in all our lives is fading from our memories. But I wish to remember how responsive and effective was our county government during the crisis of imminent cutoff of our roads due to lava flow. In all my 70 years as a USA citizen, I have never experienced such efficient, cooperative, and effective government as I did during that lava crisis. Some of the things I remember: the informational meetings at Pahoa High School cafeteria and the Pahoa Community Center. The seemingly seamless move of transfer station away from and then back to its present location, allowing all of us to safely go see the flow near the transfer station and arranging for the school children to go see it. The new road from Nanavali into Paradise Park. Cooperation with National Park Service and the National Guard. All of the information from the U.S. Geological Service. Expanding fire department service into Pahoa town to make sure everyone would have service even if the lava flow cut off the road, and saving the trees while doing it. These and many more wonderful things I saw, and I want to thank every county, state, federal, etc. employee and especially Mayor Billy Kenoi. I think he did a remarkable and wonderful job of leading us all through a scary, unsure time. I will always remember with aloha and gratitude the cooperative and effective government we all experienced. Thank you, Mayor Kenoi, and to all who helped make this a truly safe and memorable time. Now, that letter has not been published yet in the Hawaii Tribune Herald, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to go out into the New York Times. But what I want to say is that we have many big issues in the county of Hawaii, huge issues that are to impact and influence our local government. Big issues that will affect all of our lives and the state of and our county for a long, long time. These are powerful interests. They all have their right to have their interests, but it's big stuff. And what I would like for the Ethics Committee to remember while you're going through all of this is, yes, you have to look at everything, it's your job, but to urge perspective that just like you don't want to make molehills out of mountains, you also don't want to make mountains out of molehills. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Margaret Willie, I'm here to speak as an individual, and I'm speaking on items, the first B and C, which I think are connected, and I think one should be able to speak as 6 minutes, but if you'll let me know when 3 minutes is up, I will transition. What's most important to me is that we really move through this quickly. I mean, I feel time is really of the essence here. This is like a wound that's allowing to fester and grow and grow. And I say this for the public, for the county, for the mayor. I think that we need to move on. And it's really, I just implore that. And I do see that this is really just an initial review. I don't really know exactly what that encompasses. And that your next meeting isn't till July. So that's probably the most important thing I have to say. I really feel that it's important to go on. I also urge you not to have executive sessions. I mean, there's something that's, I don't know. I don't see that an executive session is certainly on, for these items, that we're here to represent open government and transparency, and it's really because of the lack of that we're here today. The inability of the press to be able to get records, the failure of any checks and balances, how did we get here? So I urge you all to model that and exemplify this significance. Was glad that Council Yoshimoto urged that to recuse himself and instead have special counsel, which the county council did agree to. I don't believe, I'm not sure what your plan is, but I don't think that Mr. Yoshimoto should be present for the discussions on any of the items that he's recused himself on. He should not participate in any way. The question, one question that came up during the council meeting was, recusal, and what if one of you all recuse yourselves? And I asked, well, does that bump this up to the state ethics commission, or what happens? And they said, no, that would not be the case. So I said, well, then so we wait for the mayor to appoint another member or two. And, and it was sort of, well, I guess that's the way it is. And that brought me to really, should the mayor be asked to step aside while you make your decision, while we resolve this as quickly as possible, which would mean that if someone were to recuse himself now or at some point, that it would be Wally Lau, the managing director, would be the one that does not do that appointing. And I think also then just under that question is, how would you treat anybody else? how would you, if it was anyone else, what would you do in that case? I think really what's before you is to keep it simple in my mind. Here's what the code provisions, where they are where there are actions that were inconsistent, and then if you do find inconsistencies, what should be the appropriate penalty under the mitigating circumstances. And to me, that would be the hard question, the mitigating circumstances going both ways and how you weigh that and thinking about that. I also would encourage, if you have any recommendations to the council as we look forward, and maybe that would be a future agenda item, ordinances to make it clear that there can be more disclosure, and also perhaps less power with the mayor. I mean, basically, you have one person in such level of control, and the thing that comes up here to me is perhaps it should be that board members are chosen by, in another way, whether it's the council. So one person from each district is ordinarily, if you had each council member, it's always very divergent, and not allow for a predicament where you have a case where you will recuse yourself, you have the same person that's being considered appointing them. I do want to make a few comments about, you're talking about that another member of the administration and the petition be county officer by not allowing the first officer, or continuing to allow the first officer to permit something that should not have been permitted. It's, and I think I believe all of this went on before that person came into office, but it's, it is very intimidating. I mean, just as we right now have those firemen who spoke out and were let go, they were suspended right now, pending that for voicing their opinion and criticizing their department, a fear of losing one's job. And I think that there is a atmosphere of intimidation. There is a lot of, with this administration, very much a team. You're on the team, you're not on the team. I don't happen to be on the team, and I feel the results of that. But I think that I feel that we ought to, how can we use this really as an opportunity to be a better place and better people? And I feel that the mayor is working on this, and I think we all can do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have our two next testifiers in Kohala ready? Please state your name.
Yes, Chair. Remember, you only have 3 minutes.
My name is Peter Risley of Kapa'au. I'm worried about the democratic process on our island. I have noticed that small islands or small states that are multi-ethnic, multiracial states tend to evolve to authoritarian regimes denoted with an evolved rule by the great man who assumes more power because of the institutional regimes that control the populace. Democracy, of course, is opposed to such regimes. If we wish to remain democratic, if we wish to become a profitable, sustainable economic unit, we must be a free people no matter who we are and what we look like. It's about checks and balances. That's what a functional democratic process is, and the present Ethics Committee has failed Hawaii. Without the checks and balances we should become a failed democracy. That is what is at stake. People of Hawaii, I call for a crusade for democracy. Without reestablishing correct governmental checks and balances, we shall fail. We shall fail economically, we shall fail socially, and fail our democratic future. I suggest we need to limit the power of the mayor. Other counties across this nation Do not allow such powers as the mayor has here. And that is not a condemnation of the present mayor, but the institutional bureaucracy of our island. If proper checks and balances existed, this present situation would not have escalated to its present disaster. I do not think we should move on. No, we should use this crisis to repair a failed system. Please consider this crusade for the democratic renewal of our beautiful island. Let no man become the great man. Let all Hawaiians peoples become great men and women. Reestablish democracy. Power to the people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is David Cottis. The issue before us today is just a tiny speck on a small tip of a huge iceberg of rampant political corruption existing under the surface of public awareness. Here at the local level, it can take the form of pure pressure and cronyism. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. In today's particular instance, the mayor has sometimes been regarded as a bully. His successful pressuring of council members became apparent with their appalling approval of the $100 million incinerator. Younger aged politicians are especially vulnerable to such pressuring because they have selfish ambitions to climb the political ladder. But this is nothing compared to what's going on in Honolulu at the state level. For example, Monsanto and the other gigantic GMO biotech corporations have virtually bought off our state government, as well as the University of Hawaii. Hence, we see our two state senators, Green and Ruderman, demoted from their positions of power so that Monsanto can force the state to force us to bring in GMO here to the Big Island. And yet even this is peanuts compared to what's going on at the federal level. That's where politicians literally are eliminated if they don't play the game. Our late senior U.S. Senator Daniel Inouye called it the shadow government. Strings are pulled which have no relationship whatsoever to the U.S. Constitution that is supposed to be the supreme law of our land. This is why America is looking ever more like a third world country with a small, unethical, wealthy elite exploiting vast poverty-stricken masses. We no longer live in a democracy, we live in a plutocracy. We have only ourselves to blame, since many of us seem to be blind to the higher values of life, blind to what makes life really worth living. Until we, whom you represent, get our own priorities in order, how can we expect you to do so? It's simply a case of the blind leading the blind. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, sorry for the interruption. I have an added testifier when you're ready.
Thank you very much. We're going to go back to Hilo and then we'll follow up with Kohala after that. Dan Cole, who's going to be testifying on petition number 21408 and 21503. And then followed by Barbara Belovich.
Good morning, Board. Am I on? Good morning, Board. I also would like to add that I have confirmed that I will be testifying on 3 items here to include the first gift disclosure. My name is Dan Cole, and I am the petitioner on the petition 2014-08 that I filed last year in June as an event to protect and correct political candidate Emily Naoli. You will notice that the Board of Ethics allowed a petition against a non-county member, which they knew and knowingly had no authority over as a result of my previous petitions, to be placed onto the agenda of the Board of Ethics where no identified violation of the county charter was mentioned. In addition, by doing so, this caused Emily Naoli's loss of personal and professional respect and rebuke in the front page of the Hawaii Tribune Herald. The Board of Ethics at that time, knowing and knowingly, under counsel of the Corporation Council, did commit extortion against Emily Naoli, a political candidate, under Hawaii Revised Statute 707764, in order to cause her and alter the outcome of a general election of the United States of America and the sovereign state of Hawaii through extortion. I brought this up to the county and numerous council members, and as you all know, I have been appearing before many boards and commissions and the council with my caveat. I bring forth this information as required by and in accordance with United States Code, Title 18, Subsection 4, Misprision of Felony, to bring forth actual knowledge of felonies committed against the United States. Altering a general election for that purpose is a felony under the state and federal RICO Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Acts as defined by 18 U.S.C. 1961. The board at the time recused themselves in violation of the Hawaii County Charter and in violation of the Hawaii Board of Ethics rules and procedures which have the effect of law. By recusing themselves, knowing and knowingly that they would be out of office and without the authority of this board to act on them, they prevented my petition from going forward, therefore depriving a person of the United States their rights and freedoms as guaranteed by the constitutions of the state of Hawaii and the United States to petition the government in redress of grievance. I understand fully that this board will find that petition 2014-08 is moot, as all the people involved in the petition are no longer with the county. However, under the rights and freedoms of guaranteed by all people, I demand, this is a demand, that this board go forth in legal fiction to bring forth evidence for the filing of criminal charges for misdemeanor violations of the Hawaii County Charter, for which the Hawaii County Police Department do have authority and jurisdiction over, and to forward information and evidence to the State Attorney General and to the U.S. Attorney Office for violations of Federal Racketeering and Corrupt Organizations Act, deprivation of rights under the color of law, violations of 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242 of a person's privilege. I mean, this is my demand. Failure to do such and have this board take up petition in their own account to bring forth such evidence for filing will be smoking gun evidence of the corruption and the existence of an enterprise engaged in public corruption that influences, controls, and extorts elected officials, employees, and judges and officers of the courts of the state of Hawaii. In second, I am speaking on petition number 202503. This has all been brought before. Well, I've heard people here, as one councilman mentioned, how can we go through this? Somebody mentioned CIA involvement. Somebody has mentioned public corruption. I filed and have been filing numerous petitions. There are tens of thousands of pages of documents and verified documentation, as Corporation Counsel Yoshida will verify. He himself has requested FBI assistance and the assistance of the U.S. Attorney to delve into this corruption. However, there was no follow-through as he was chairman of the county council. What you don't know is the extent of which Mayor Kenoi was actually involved in corruption. You think his tryst in the hostess bar was something. Mayor Kenoi and others were involved in money laundering of tens of millions of dollars of Hawaii County bonds. Here's just one example. On February the 24th of 2011, under the signature of Nancy Crawford and Mayor Kenoi, an offer was made to the Bank of Hawaii, sole source without any opening bid, for the sale of Series A bonds in the denomination of $10 million on March the 2nd with a maturity date of September the 2nd. The Bank of Hawaii received the documents, confirmed the purchase. Confirmation was made and said. And lo and behold, Series B bond was issued to the Bank of Hawaii, not a Series A. They're shadow bonding by using a Hawaii or a municipal account. Therefore, the money is held, was bought. The bond was bought by a numbered account, apparently, from Bank of Hawaii. On that date, there was no authorization for that bond by the county council. There is no known authorization by the county council. The bond was sold on the very same day the money of $10 million was transferred from the Bank of Hawaii to the First Hawaiian Bank, held in a CD account for the 60-day or for the 184 days of the bond. So what the mayor was doing is issuing bonds and selling bonds to a non-competitive bid. The Bank of Hawaii numbered account would buy the bonds. The money would be transferred from $10 million from the Bank of Hawaii to the First Hawaiian Bank, placed in a certificate of deposit under the general fund of the County of Hawaii, not under the actual bond or what project it was designed for. And upon maturity of the bond, the money would therefore be transferred back to Bank of Hawaii in payment of bond. Therefore, in the money laundering scheme, what you have is squeaky clean money of a $10 million return on investment of a municipal bond. Under Hawaii Asset Protection Act, that money could therefore be placed into the asset protection program, and corrupt officials could receive anonymously from the trust money paid to them directly in monthly, quarter, wherever allowance. Could it be that maybe Mayor Kenoi was using the pCard of the People's Credit in order to float money until he got a free money from this trust? To add to this, the audacity of our mayor to use his card in a hostess bar. I was military, most people do. Hostess bar etiquette 101. A, cash only. Come on, folks. B, the proprietors of these establishments are very well aware of the laws, regulation, and when you have a high-level profile political candidate in there, they know there's some shebang going on. So where are these selfies of the mayor's tryst? We have come to the point now that somebody mentioned the CIA stuff. If you look at the history of the Bank of Hawaii, you will notice that there was a person called Marilyn Dunham, who in fact was the escrow officer and allegedly the bagman for the CIA, and apparently the same avenue of these bonds, sale and laundering, were the same resources and assets used then. As you all know, Marilyn Dunham is the grandmother who raised Barack Obama. Could it be that our mayor was using the knowledge and authority that nobody would touch him for fear this would come out?
And then you said you had a... Sorry. You said you had a third agenda item that you were
Yes.
going to speak to?
What I'm bringing forth here is, for years I have been trying to expose these gifts disclosures, the corruption in the county. I have been before the boards, and many times the same thing has happened. The board will recuse themselves. Had the board accepted my petition and allowed my petition when I filed against the mayor, Nancy Crawford, for these illegal bonds by using their authority to make a profit for the Bank of Hawaii and others that was not given to all the people, that was not heard because one of the board members recused themselves because, oh, he was on the bowling team of Nancy Crawford, and he did not want to jeopardize his position on the team. That is why he recused himself, and the petition could not be heard. So I'm requesting that, I understand my petition will be denied as moot. I'm requesting that these things go forth in legal fiction, in formal hearing by this board, and the evidence that I have on file here, extensive evidence, and will show pattern in history of Racketeering and Corrupt Organizations Act, for which we can now expose this and recover the people's funds and monies. And in addition, I'd like to point out that Mayor Kenoi and the County of Hawaii is also extremely corrupt, because you only need 1,250 signatures to impeach an elected candidate on this, according to this thing. However, I had to go to court in order to get the court to recognize the County of Hawaii is in violation of the 14th Amendment, because all petition papers must be obtained from the Hawaii County Clerk for impeachment or recall. The Hawaii County Clerk has no petitions for impeachment. Therefore, you cannot petition the government in redress of grievance. Today, I just spoke with the county clerk, and they are now looking into a preparation in order to prepare the required documents as identified in the county charter, so that a impeachment petition can be forwarded, as Mayor Kenoi has already admitted his nonfeasance, malfeasance, misfeasance, and maladministration in office. Upon the verification of the 1,250 signatures, such petition shall go to the court. The Third Circuit Court shall sit without jury, and if the charges are sustained as he has already admitted to, then the office is declared vacant. I thank you for your attention,
Thank you very much.
and I hope you do the right thing,
Mrs. Belovich?
because I got plenty of time. I'm not tired, not bored, and I can do this for a long, long agenda.
Aloha, and thank you for your time. I'm Barbara Belovich. What do I need to do?
A little closer to the microphone. No, the microphone is on. Just go a little closer, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Barbara Belovich. I would like to thank you first for your time. I know that these things are very time consuming. There have been a lot of details presented, and you have a lot of details in front of you. I don't want to belabor points that have already been gone over. So just let me say, I came here from the other side of the island because I just want to let you know that I, as are everybody I know, completely disgusted. Oh, this is to C, and to some extent B, disgusted with our mayor's behavior. I'm embarrassed for this wonderful island where I've chosen to live that I love so much. I'm embarrassed for us. And I'm personally enraged that my tax dollars, I mean, I'm a little old lady. I don't have a lot of money. My tax dollars are used, not only property owners, but renters too. Everybody pays for, are treated so cavalierly. Whether or not you use the card and pay it back doesn't matter. It's not right. And I believe it was known that it wasn't right. And I believe much of our mayor's behavior is not right. I do understand that he's done some nice things. I don't think he's all bad. But I wish that we could just put my county and just out of its misery, and him too, and just resign. If not, I will be looking for that petition to remove him. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Kohala, are we ready for our next testifier? Please state your name and the item on the agenda that you're testifying for.
You have 3 minutes. State your name.
Okay. Will Houtz, and I appreciate this opportunity. I come with a voice for myself and those around me who feel about this. With your decision, we have an opportunity to make a statement, to set a standard for our civil servants. We want our public trust to be honored. This is where we can make a difference in our local area. We have individuals drawn to a job of civil service where others around them are not making wise choices, and they're actually making embarrassing choices. I can only imagine the stress Ms. Crawford and Ms. Seiko and others must have felt when they determined they were serving with someone who was making their jobs more difficult and embarrassing to the people of Hawaii. I understand Ms. Crawford tried to draw attention to this issue with Billy Kenoi. I can only imagine Billy Kenoi wouldn't listen to a woman, because he didn't. She decided to resign. A ripple effect. I remind you, like attracts like. We can have a better place here. Choose a normal type of Hawaiian integrity, which is doing right when no one is watching. Please give us a chance to attract people, civil servants,